The following opinions are solely those of BoatTEST.com and its test captain.
Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTEST.com, and today I'm on the all-new 280 Vantage from Boston Whaler. Now, I see a lot of times when a builder tries to do a crossover, something ends up having to suffer in the mix, but Boston Whaler really seems to have a good take on it. Let me show you what I mean. First, we have this open cockpit, plenty of room for gathering, 4 feet 4 and aft, 7 feet 8 inches side to side, and it's protected by the 28-inch high bulwarks. Now, of course, we can easily add to the seating by this transom bench, and true to Whaler form, I'll bet this is going to be easy to deploy and stow, as expected. Now, they made good use of space behind the refreshment center by adding another seat, and then there's this versatile seat right across. Starts out as forward-facing seating, 33 inches across, and it easily converts by lifting this little trigger to an aft-facing chaise or to a sun pad, and it'll even convert further to a forward-facing chaise by lifting this up, pulling out the base, and there you have it. Additionally, there's storage underneath, as you can see, and there's also additional storage forward. Now, also underneath the aft section of the chaise, there's a ladder that's going to deploy at the dive door, which is on the port hand side, and this is now standard. This deploys very easily, and it opens inward so we can use it when we're next to a dock. If we're coming up on board with dive tanks, there's a swing out handle right there. Now, I like that this is over on the port hand side because it just supplements the boarding on the starboard side that we already have. Now, there are two other ways to reboard from the water. The first being at the end of this starboard swim platform that comes out 3 feet. There's a concealed reboarding ladder here. The third reboarding area is at the bow. Now, previous versions of this model on the lineup used to have a squared off bow, and that didn't lend itself to having both a windlass and a reboarding ladder. So now that it comes to a point, we can have the ladder going off to the side as an option. There'll be a grab handle right here. And now we also have the ability to put a Lumar windlass with an anchor leading to a through-the-stem anchor roller, and it's supporting a polished anchor. There's an 8-inch cleat right alongside and easy access to the road locker. There's also a remote control, and also look at the hatch. Finished on both sides, there's a gas support strut, and it includes a turn and lock latch. I'd really like to see that be a lift and lock latch. Of course, right alongside where the ladder would be is a freshwater shower. Now, just behind is the bow seating, wraps all the way around the bow. Naturally, there's storage underneath. Because the voice of the customer asked for a boat that had more seaworthiness, the bow has been raised, and that gives us a cockpit depth here of 22 inches. Now, I said that there's storage underneath the seats. You have to get the cushions up and then use a turn and lock latch to get to the storage. This particular one is a built-in cooler. Open storage underneath these two seats, but my point being, I'd like to see, instead of a turn and lock latch here, maybe the simple kind of post and socket that would hold it in place so we don't have to bring the cushions up and then snap them in place again. To the bulwarks, speakers to both sides, stereo, and there's connectivity. Now, this storage, if I lift this up, it goes all the way back underneath the console, which can also be accessed by opening up the air dam and then another door, and now it goes all the way across. Notice there's not only dedicated storage for a 5-gallon bucket, but dedicated storage for the bow table and pedestal as well. Both seats have flip down armrests, not flip up, that have to be latched and unlatched, so I like this arrangement, and there's also an option for a pedestal table in the bow area too. Now, the starboard side refreshment center, this is a pretty neat setup right here. Korean counter with storage underneath. Up above is a removable section. This has dedicated storage. Right over to the side, and there's a sink. Now, this sink can get swapped out for an electric grill. There'll also be an electric refrigerator underneath. Now, because we have electrical demands, now we're going to get in with this option an inverter, shore power, and an extra battery. And of course, a pedestal table in the cockpit adds to its functionality. Now, of course, we've got this beautiful hardtop overhead, 6 feet 8 inches off the deck. It includes these grab rails, dome light, courtesy lights, speakers, grab rails down the stern. Notice how the supports are integrated into the windshield, and we can also enclose this whole area off. Now, of course, this is a Boston Whaler, so it's got to have fishing features. This boat comes standard with a 19-gallon live well, two 25-gallon macerated fish boxes, And we can add 5 optional rod holders to the 12 standard rod holders going around the boat. Plus, we can also add rod storage under the starboard bow seating that runs underneath the helm console. Now let's move on to our operations, starting with the power. We can choose from twin 250 on up to twin 400 horsepower engines. We'll be testing this boat with the mid-range 300 horsepowers. Now, just ahead in the cockpit, there's a hatch over a mechanical room, and Boston Whaler is really big on having this feature, and I absolutely love that they do this. Inside are your 2 power steering pumps, the pump and inlet line for the live well, bilge pumps through the hull transducer, 2 engine start batteries, and 2 house batteries. At the starboard bulwarks, there's a charging plug for the battery charger, stainless steel tow rail with a tray on top, raw water washdown, battery switches, and 2 2-inch deck drains to both sides of the deck for really getting water off the deck. I like the layout of the helm. It's very ergonomic. Starts with a compass on top of a soft touch dash. There's a 12-inch display right underneath, and this integrates with the twin Mercury outboards, as well as having a separate display for the outboards. It's a Fusion stereo just above, 2 stainless steel drink holders, a self-draining cubby area. I'd like to see that padded so we can put cell phones and things like that, sensitive items in there. But we do have connectivity. Thank you for that. Just below, whole row of rocker switches to both sides of the wheel, which is mounted to a tilt base. VHF Raymarine radio over on the port hand side to the starboard side, trim tab controls and ignitions. Then a separate sub panel has the digital throttle and shift, and just behind that, the joystick steering. Just below is a cubby with connectivity just above. There's one of the 6 Fusion stereo speakers on board, and there's a subwoofer behind the helm seat. The helm seat is high-end and quite comfortable. It's ventilated in the high-rise back, includes flip armrests and a flip bolster, plus it swivels and slides. At the forward-facing seat, the bolsters continue all the way around. There's a speaker facing inward, long powder-coated grab handle just on the side. Forward, there's glove storage. And then the head compartment, the door opens and latches open by a magnetic catch. Inside, 4 feet 6 inches of headroom. That gives us 3 feet of sitting headroom. There's a Corian counter and some laminated wood cabinetry, along with the sink inside.
The Boston Whaler 280 Vantage has a length overall of 29 feet 1 inch, a beam of 9 feet 6 inches, and a draft of 21 inches. With an empty weight of 6,700 pounds, 40% fuel, 3 people, and test power, we had an estimated test weight of 8,949 pounds. With a pair of 300 horsepower Mercury Verados with advanced midsections turning 16 by 20 echo inertia props and wound up to 5,900 RPM, our speed topped out at 56.7 miles per hour. Best cruise came in at 3,500 RPM and 32.9 miles an hour. At that speed, the 15.9 gallon per hour fuel burn translated into 2.1 miles per gallon and a range of 345 statute miles, all while still holding back a 10% reserve of the boat's 185 gallon total fuel supply. Being a Boston Whaler, she's got the predictable handling characteristics of good handling and quick throttle response. Pin those throttles forward and she'll jump up on plane in an average 3.5 seconds, cruise through 20 miles per hour in 5.8, and pass through 30 miles per hour in 7.7 seconds. I hate when we get flat-calm conditions when testing a whaler because they perform so well when the seas are building, but we can't create wind, so we were left with running through random wakes to verify the usual lack of hull slap with a dry ride. Turns were met with no slide or chine walk and didn't get aggressive to the point where everything and everyone would get tossed to the outside of the turn, but instead they had enough bank to plant you in the seat.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with the way that the roominess, functionality, comfort, and the handling all come together on the 280 Vantage from Boston Whaler. And that's my full features inspection and performance evaluation. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.